Unofficial Commentators, back at it again. JJ98, all the way from where?
Brooklyn.
Paki over here from Philly, recording from a different location today, but we ready to go, man. I'm feeling a lot better than last week. Last week I was tired as fuck for our recording, but we got it done. What do we got for today, Jay?
Baby?
What it do? What it do?
So,
What do we got for today, bro?
as we tend to do, can we just catch up real quick? What you do this weekend?
Dude, we played a fucking hell of a game. The Wildcats, we lost 34-19. The score doesn't really make any, doesn't really define what the game was. It was 21-19 up to the fourth quarter. We were battling, but the kids gave up two big plays on defense. They onside kicked and recovered, and then they scored, and then they scored on another big run. So they went up 34-19 on us. And we just didn't have enough time to come back. It was a battle, but we lost. But besides that, man, just football, man. Wildcats and regular NFL football. This Saturday we play the only Eagles from Center City, Philadelphia. It's our homecoming weekend, so we play prime time at 7 p.m. on Saturday under the lights. So I'm excited for that game, man. Yeah, it should be fun.
Are you gonna get pumped for the lights?
I mean, it's always for the kids. It's always a big deal playing under the lights, man, because you know, the way that it works in amateur football is the younger you are, the earlier you play. So, like, the 6-8-year-olds play, like, at 10 a.m. So the fact that they're playing at 7 is, like, a big deal. It's like a primetime game. It's the equivalent of a primetime game in the NFL. So they're hyped, you know what I mean?
Right. I've tried to make it to some of these games, but like you said, man, it's kind of a long drive, and they play early. If I'd have known that they were playing this late, I would have made arrangements, gone on and see what's going on there with the Wildcats.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game this Saturday, man. Hopefully we do better. We've been working a lot on our defense. Our defense was really bad last game, and that's what we could. We only scored 19 points, man, because the other team threw one pass all game. So, yeah, they ran that triple option offense, man. They ran the ball all game. They controlled the clock. So, on offense, we didn't really have the ball much. But when we did have the ball, we were able to produce, just not as much as we needed to. But, yeah, besides that, man, sucky weekend. Raiders lost. Wildcats lost. My fantasy team lost. I ate pizza to feel better.
A typical Sunday for you. Well, you didn't ask me what I did this weekend, but I'll tell you, I saw fucking Rambo for 8 hours straight. Goddamn Rambo marathon from 12 to 8, dude. I was Ramboed out. And
Wow.
The more you Ramboed, the more violent the shit got.
Wow.
And man, I have some crazy thoughts on Rambo, honestly. Like, I don't know what I was expecting. I remember that Rambo was kind of a new thing when I was a kid, like a child. I must have been, 5, 7, something in that range. And, dude.
Wow.
That's not for kids.
Your life must really suck.
I don't know how it is that I was in an age where I can have Rambo action figures when that shit is clearly not for children.
I don't understand how you have time to sit 8 hours to watch Rambo. I mean, you must have a miserable life.
No, dude, it's one day. you sit longer than that to watch football every weekend. Jesus, dude.
Football is way above Rambo, bro. Give me a break.
Says you. Have you seen football this year? It's been awful.
Nah, fuck that.
And which brings me to my next point. I had to sacrifice watching football to catch this marathon. And now I got put on to this amazing thing, which is just watching all the highlights on YouTube. It saves so much time. I saw like all of the weekend's matchups in, I don't know, like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing. I don't think I'll ever spend a whole Sunday watching football again. Why?
I mean, it works if you want to do it that way. I know I sometimes go back and watch the highlights when I have some free time, but just watch it. I watch NFL Red Zone on Sunday. That's what I recommend. NFL Red Zone is watching the live highlights, jumping from game to game, and that's how I'm personally able to catch up and keep up with every game in football. Besides the fact that I normally have 3 screens, I got normally my NFL Red Zone on one screen, I got my team that I want to watch on the other screen, and then I have another game that I'm interested on. If my team is not playing yet, I would have 2 games that I'm interested on. And if they're all sucky, I'll just watch NFL Red Zone on one screen. That's how I normally keep up.
It is what it is. I'm not crazy about the red zone. I understand the concept, but the fact that they jump from game to game, I'd rather just watch highlights, 2 teams straight through, it's easier for me to remember details of the things that I'm watching. But to each his own, man. I'm not going to tell you how to watch football. I'm just telling you it's going to be hard for me to sit down and watch 12 hours of football ever again.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, the only reason why I hate the highlights is because it defeats the purpose of the watching live sports. Like it does the job, but if I already know the results, it's like I'm watching it, but I'm like I'm losing the excitement that football gives me. You know?
Don't watch the result.
Yeah, that's impossible, especially during fantasy season, Jay. How the fuck do you not keep up with results with your fantasy?
I watch my players and don't necessarily focus on the scores, but
I don't think a fucking Zen master is able to not go into his fantasy team on a Sunday afternoon to see how his team is doing. Like the most under control person can't do that.
yeah, it is what it is. All right. Well, so let's start talking about week 4, right? Week 3 in the books. Week 4. So week 4 features the first of the year bye weeks. So fantasy studs such as the New York Jets team and the San Francisco 49ers will not be in action this week. So sad. So sad.
Yeah,
Any
I mean,
major?
that's actually a big loss, dude. The 49ers have provided a lot of fantasy-worthy players. The Jets,
Oh,
though,
I was going to ask you that. So tell me more. What are these? What are the biggest impact losses from having bye weeks to San Francisco and the New York Jets?
let's start with San Francisco because there's nothing to talk about the Jets, honestly. I can't think of a single – you could say, oh, Le'Veon Bell, but he hasn't done shit either because the Jets are just so fucking bad. So Roby Anderson has been a disappointment. I don't even know who the fuck plays tight end for the Jets. I don't know what else other receiver you can think about for the Jets. The quarterback, nobody has that. So there's absolutely no fantasy implications for the Jets. Le'Veon Bell is definitely replaceable right now. But for the 49ers, you got Matt Breida. Matt Breida's been fucking amazing this year. He hasn't gotten as many touches at first, but Matt Breida looks legit. I don't know, since you're the highlight guy now, I don't know if you saw his highlights from last week. He had a beautiful jump cut touchdown. Obviously, George Kittle, one of the top 3 tight ends in football, in a tight end deficient league because apparently tight ends don't exist anymore. I don't know what the hell happened. I remember there was a time when we had a bunch of tight ends to pick from. Now we have nothing.
Well, you were championing blocking tight ends, and that's apparently all they exist to do is just to block, to extend the offensive line.
No, dude, I feel like that's not even it. I always champion blocking tight ends because they're on the playing field. They're always on the field, but I feel like offenses now, especially the same thing I said last week. If you look at how people are playing now, how the offenses are playing, they're going more like to the wide receivers trying to get that pass interference. You know, the rules are made for you to open up the field to wide receivers. You're either going to get a holding penalty or a fucking pass interference half of the time. I mean, that's what it's been like recently, right? So it just doesn't leave much space for the tight end. So I don't know, not many offenses around tight end lately. So yeah, and not to mention everybody's going with the damn spread most of the time. So not many people running 11 personnel anymore with the tight end. So it is what it is. But yeah, George Kittle is out, so that's a loss.
I sincerely feel like you took the longest fucking way to end up saying the exact same shit I said. They are on the field all the time, these tight ends, but they're not involved in the offense.
Oh yeah. I just thought you meant it because they just use them for blocking, but it's not that I see them running routes. They're just not getting the ball. You know what I mean?
Decoys.
Yeah, I mean, unless the only tight end that's consistently getting a lot of passes right now is Darren Waller from the Oakland Raiders, who's giving like 20 points a week without even scoring a touchdown. And that's because fucking Derek Carr, and this is coming from a Raider fan, is the new captain checkdown of the NFL. God damn it, it's so frustrating to watch this guy play football. Mm-hmm. He had like 5 passes the entire fucking game versus the Vikings over 10 yards, and it's all to the tight end. Tight end. Like, what the fuck, yo? It gets frustrating. Tight ends are not big play guys. You know what I mean?
Alex Smith passes the torch.
Yeah, Derek, that's a great fucking example. All this time I've been trying to think, who is it that Derek Carr reminds me of? Who is it? I'm thinking. I'm like, I know there's somebody that was a captain checkdown that reminds me, and Alex Smith is the perfect comparison, except Alex Smith had a little bit more balls. No, Alex Smith had a lot more balls than Derek Carr because Derek Carr is a checkdown because he's a pussy. That's all.
God. Wow, some aggressive taking here.
Yeah.
And also Alex Smith is a winner. Just about every season he played, he's won.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, that's what you're going to lose out on by not having the 49ers and the Jets play this week. In the league pick'em, week 3, JJ and 98 went 1-6. Paki went 3-4, bringing our grand total to Paki 5, JJ and 98 3. I am currently down, but not out. I can for sure get back in this race. Just need a good week. This is my gambling.
I figure since I'm at the office, might as well use this board. I mean, whatever.
All right, draw me a play there. Okay.
Drawing a play.
I wasn't serious. All right, so that's
I was about to draw a play right now.
fucking guy. All right. So that's the league pick'em. Now awards. It's award season, right? So I've renamed the high score award. It is now the Danny Dimes Award. The Danny Dimes Award goes to Mac Cafe Espresso. This week, he scored 172.82 points, redeeming himself effectively from a poor performance last week that got him the Sucks Dynasty Award. In his place this week for the Sucks Dynasty, that's right, the Rough Raiders. 74.08 measly fantasy points. Did you forget to roster a team? Were you too busy losing? How do you get less than 100 points?
My team is garbage. That's all it is. There's nothing else to it. I have no running back. My wide receivers, which I have plenty of, underperformed. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't do shit because I don't have a quarterback right now either. So like my team is just full of holes. It's got more holes than my asshole right now.
Ah, man. I'm not saying it would have made a huge difference, but I did tell you to go with Andy Dalton over Garoppolo. All right.
I don't feel bad about that. I'm just pissed at Garoppolo. I would have never done that.
This week's Toma Tu Pela goes to Game Pounds at Gordos. Of course, he played against the Rough Raiders. And he beat the Rough Raiders by 33.46 fantasy points. How does it feel to be a double loser, Rough Raiders?
You want to know what pisses me off? So like the last couple of years, I've been doing pretty bad in fantasy, and I normally like have like my strategy of going into draft, and I tend to be very arrogant when it comes to taking advice from fantasy analysts.
Oh, wow.
I'll admit it. Okay. So I was like, fuck, this guy don't know what he's talking about. I'll take this guy. And clearly it wasn't working, right? So this year I made my fucking draft board, all my rankings based on the experts. And this is by far the worst fucking team I've ever had in fantasy. Like, this is fucking ridiculous.
So fantastic.
Maybe some fucking miracle happens throughout the season. I don't know.
All right. So staying with this matchup, La Chepa Award goes to Adeli. Game Pounds at Gordo. So guess what? There are 14 teams in this fantasy league, right? Adeli's one of them, so that leaves 13. He would have lost if he played another 11 of those 13 teams. There were only 2 teams aside from him that he could have beat. One of them was yours. And the other one, he would have beat by a fraction of points.
Everybody would have beaten me.
The other one was Guica. He would have beat him by fractions of points.
Like low key, man, and this is not just because of my team, but I'm gonna talk about it now because this is not an interesting topic. I think so. Odell Beckham has been a fucking huge disappointment, and it's not his fault. It is fucking Baker Mayfield. I mean, I know it's early in the season, so he can still pick it up, of course. And there's people that tend to be second half quarterbacks.
Let's save that Odell Beckham analysis for when we talk about whatever team Odell Beckham is on. I also want to mention in the La Chepa Awards, this is not typically what we award a team for, but Joel Vasquez won his matchup this week by 0.3 fantasy points. He took down the undefeated Gary by 0.3 fantasy points. I mean, must have had a horseshoe up your ass on that one, huh?
The crazy thing is that it survived the stat corrections.
Yeah. It is what it is. It doesn't matter if you win by an inch or by a mile, right?
That's right.
All right, and now let's talk about the elephant in the room.
So finally, that Rambo stupid bandana you had is off.
No, it's not off. It's still there.
Yeah, but we don't have to see it anymore.
Maybe you'll get lucky and I take off the hat. Any gosh darn way, it is officially Daniel Jones' season. Paki, what are your thoughts on Daniel Jones' first game?
Yo, he looked good, man. I gotta give him props. And we laughed at the Giants for picking Daniel Jones. I was one of them. I don't feel bad because that was the vast majority. I mean, fucking quarterback from Duke with average numbers in Duke, you don't expect much from. Not to mention that he never played any big competition, but you got to give credit to the Giants and you got to give credit to Daniel Jones for preparing him as well. So the kid looked prepared. He looked ready to go. This has a lot to do with the topic that we were talking about earlier in the group chat that you missed out on that you wanted to recap. It's about player personality. I mean, seeing how Daniel Jones has conducted himself throughout the offseason and during the season, clearly this kid is his head and his maturity is years above his age, and that's shown more than his actual skills. I mean, the kid looked ready, man. He looked like he knew exactly every single play that he was calling. He went through all his reads, and he showed something that Eli Manning has been lacking for about the last 7 years, which is balls. You know what I mean? He ran that ball into the end zone a couple times. Showing some toughness, some grit, and his arm strength is going to look amazing, right? Because you're used to watching Eli Manning. But his arm strength is nothing to brag about, but it definitely did look a lot more alive than Eli Manning. So, yeah, man, it looks like the era is going to come. Now we just got to see how he reacts. This is what I say about every rookie quarterback. Now the team's got game film on you. Let's see how you go about it moving forward.
All right, my thoughts on Daniel Jones. I told everyone to hold off on what I had to say until I got a chance to record the podcast, and here it is. So first of all, props to everyone who said that the Giants would look vastly different when they played Daniel Jones instead of Eli Manning. To a
I'm going
degree,
to wait. Before you keep going, I'm going to take some credit there because I said the Giants would look different if they played anybody but Eli Manning. Not specifically Daniel Jones.
okay.
Wait, anybody but that fucking trash. All right, keep going. Sorry. Just had to say that.
Point well taken. You are one of those people that deserves that credit. You did say that you were right there. Um, Daniel Jones is going to provide you opportunities that Eli Manning was not. The team in general did not take a massive step forward. Um, the team in general looked pretty much the same. And as a matter of fact, this week in particular, they lost Saquon Barkley. So that's going to be another challenge to Daniel Jones very, very early into his career.
Oh, yeah.
I feel that not only did they play a Tampa Bay team that wasn't good, that made a bonehead decision, um, a kicker who clearly had an off night, they basically survived. They survived that matchup. They didn't win that handily. They survived. But that being said, they only have the opportunity to survive because of Daniel Jones's play. So again, credit where credit is due. He gave the Giants a chance that Eli Manning was for sure not going to give him. He made certain things happen, and he made a lot of players that you were probably not considering as being that good look relevant. I
Yeah.
mean, offensively, I have to consider Evan Ingram top four, scratch that, maybe even top three in tight end, offensive tight ends. Whether he can block or not, that's not my point here. But offensively,
Yeah. The blocking has nothing
going
to
to
do with it
figure
in this case. Yeah.
he's going to figure in the top four, top three. I want to say. Um, he made other players better. He made Sterling Shepard of great value, and he's putting the ball in the right place. It's not the pass that Eli Manning would throw to Odell Beckham, which is a slant that Odell breaks four tackles and converts into a 60-yard run. It's a well placed ball along the sideline or even towards the middle, that turns into a game breaker. Now, I saw some things that I didn't like. Example, he holds the ball too low. Um, when he's going through his reads, He's holding the ball down here. Twice he fumbled the ball. It escapes my mind right now whether or not they were eventually turnovers. I'm sure that if you're interested, you can look that up. But holding the ball low, as soon as he got tapped, led to turnovers. Holding the ball low means that the moment that you see where you want to throw the ball, it's a lot longer turnaround to get your arm all the way over, which was one of the criticisms of Tim Tebow. It he is well, I guess to use your wording, he does have balls that Eli Manning doesn't have. He's not afraid of getting clobbered. And I heard that the Duke offensive line wasn't great to begin with. So maybe he's just used to playing that way where he'll throw the ball even if he gets hit. That's not great for a long-term career, but I guess it fits what you're trying to do with the New York Giants and not having a great offensive line. That said, on more than one occasion, he didn't feel the tackle coming up behind him. Um, Obviously, he's thinking forward. He's looking downfield, trying to make things happen. When the sea parted in front of him, he took off, which I can understand Eli Manning cannot do. I mean, I'm close to the age of Eli Manning. Sometimes I want to run in a certain direction really fast. My brain says that's what I should do, but my body says, motherfucker, are you crazy?
Right.
And it just doesn't happen. Daniel Jones doesn't have this problem. He sees the opening, he took it. They clocked him. They said it was one of the fastest running backs this weekend. Kudos to him, man. Amen. So for a lot of the things that I saw that I liked from Daniel Jones, I still have certain reservations. Let's see what happens going forward. I mean, again, Tampa Bay did absolutely everything they could to lose that game.
I'm not going to credit him for the win, but you know what's the biggest thing that Daniel Jones brings that we didn't even talk about? Is that the Giants players looked alive. Like, I saw Evan Ingram diving for a first down in the middle of the field. You know what I mean? Like, if it was a touchdown. Like, he brings some life to this football team, which Eli Manning had sucked the shit out of it. Like, if he was just a whore. He just sucked everything out of this team. Manning gave the Giants everything that he was going to give them, but I think his time was well overstayed. So I like that about Daniel Jones.
Well, to the point of his time was overstayed. We'll talk about this some other day, but I don't really see the decline in Eli Manning. I feel like even at this age, Eli Manning is still Eli Manning. He's the same dude, you know.
And he hasn't changed his name, so he is Eli Manning, yes.
Yeah, same 20 touchdowns to 20 interceptions every year, same 250 yards per game.
But that's the thing, Jay. I mean, we're spending way too much. We're spending way too much time on this topic, but that's the thing, man. Eli Manning's stats have been inflated for years because of garbage time points. I mean, even Daniel Jones threw the ball 36 times. Why? Because the fucking Giants secondary is garbage, and the Giants are going to find themselves in a lot of situations where they're going to have to throw the ball in the second half. So Eli Manning got a bunch of dink and dunk passes to inflate his stats and his completion percentage that Darryl bragged so much about. But
he's actually gone up in his older age. But I'm telling
you, because of that same reason that I'm telling you,
he's been the same dude his entire career. He was fortunate to have certain balls bounce his way.
No, and not just that. His style worked with the defense that they had. Right. Eli Manning is not a quarterback that's going to win you, that's going to flip your football franchise around based on his skills alone. Like Pat Mahomes has done for Kansas City. You know what I mean? He's never been that. Never in his career. He's a great. You know what Eli Manning is? He's a great team manager. He's probably one of the best game managers I've ever seen play the game. You know, to give him that credit.
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. How can you possibly call him a game manager?
Game manager.
When on the 2-minute drill, he's most notable for throwing the ball away to the other team. You're not managing the team there. What the hell are you doing?
Well, he won 2 Super Bowls and managed the game when he had a good defense. It affects them now when he does that because they have a bad defense and they're in close games, but it wasn't like that before.
All right, well. Moving on. I did, however, catch the whole Monday Night Football game. That's the one I didn't watch on highlights, and I wish I would have, because good God, was that awful-looking football. Holy shit. Mr. Trubisky done. I don't want to hear it. He sucks.
Yeah, he's bad.
Case Keenum, he looked terrible. Granted, he played against the Bears, but fuck, he just looked bad. 5 turnovers he's responsible for. Nobody can get anything going. except for McLaren.
I mean, a lot of people are already asking for him to get benched. I think it would be unfair to bench
Do it.
him after one bad game versus the Bears.
What was his
No,
good game? They were 0-3.
yeah, he's had good games. They're 0-3 because that team sucks completely, entirely. But right now, the work that he's doing is just enough to keep the Redskins competitive, which they have been besides that last game, and keeping your boy Haskins, learning everything, getting down, getting ready to start, and not going to a fucked up situation of playing
Paki,
under a
what is
very
competitive? They've gotten blown out by Philly. I mean, they enjoyed the first half. They looked good for a half when you thought, oh well, maybe there's something about the Washington team that we don't know about. But no, that quickly turned around.
yeah, but it turned around because of their defense, is what I'm
And they
saying.
played Dallas.
I rather it honestly, dude. Like the way that the draft is coming next year and the way that things are going, Case Keenum he's not an elite quarterback. He's a hit or miss. He'll have some good weeks. He'll have some bad weeks. This was his first bad week. I would keep him in there. Keep preparing Dwayne Haskins instead of putting Dwayne Haskins in a bad situation in a bad team.
Does
There's no running
start at all this year for you?
Nah, I wouldn't start him unless it's like
The whole year.
Nah, I mean, look, it's a bad offensive line.
Shit.
No running game. No receiving game. No defense. What exactly are you gonna do for Dwayne Haskins? I honestly, it's not because it's Dwayne Haskins. It could have been fucking Kyler Murray. I just don't want to drop him in a situation where the kid is just gonna lose his confidence and get messed up. How many times have we seen this in football, where a kid goes into a bad situation and it fucks up all their confidence?
I don't even think Kyler Murray is that great. Daniel Jones is rookie of the year for me.
No, I said Kyler Murray because he was the first pick. That's the only reason. You know what I mean?
All right. So the Steelers are done, right? And for all of us that drafted Steelers players in fantasy, we're screwed. We should just get rid of them, right?
I mean, Juju did something, right?
What did he do?
He scored like a 75-yard touchdown or some shit like that, dude. Juju killed it. But that was one play.
Did he kill it?
Yeah.
I don't think he killed it.
That was one play. It was one play. But, yeah, I mean, besides that, yeah.
I had to play against him. I wish it wouldn't have happened, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's what exactly right. I would keep Juju. James Conner has been a disaster on his own level, not because of Mason Rudolph or Big Ben. But then again, I feel like the entire Steelers offense has been a disaster all year. So, I mean, Mason Rudolph is his first career start. I'm not going to discard him right away.
Time to rebuild.
I mean, Pat Mahomes wasn't that good on his first career start, if I'm not mistaken. So, give him some time. Let's see what happens. Give him a couple more games. But, yeah, I don't have much faith in the Pittsburgh team right now.
Well, this week is going to be the real test for them. They have Cincinnati. If they can't make it happen against Cincinnati, then cut bait. If you're a fantasy player and you're outside of the league of haters and you're thinking, hey, what should I do? If they can't make it happen against Cincinnati, cut bait. Just trade them all for anything that'll produce you any points.
I don't know what the hell the NFL was thinking of booking that game for Monday Night Football.
And neither do I. It's awful.
I mean, you got Cowboys and Saints playing. Well, they're playing Sunday night. Vikings and Bears playing Sunday. That would have been a great Monday Night Football. I don't know.
Paki, episode 1 of this season of the Unofficial Commentators, you told me that Eagles players are going to be amazing because they were an amazing offense and they were going to be unstoppable and they were going all the way to the Super Bowl. What the fuck is going on with the Eagles?
Dude, nobody fucking knows, man. Nobody fucking knows. I mean, here their pass rush is non-existent anymore. I don't know what the hell happened. Their secondary is non-existent. Carson Wentz, I mean, I'm not going to blame it on him, the fact that they're 1-2, but Carson Wentz is not looking like the 2017 Carson Wentz that had him like 13-3 before that Super Bowl run, before Nick Foles took over. And then a lot of injuries. That's a fact, though. Their 2 starting wide receivers are hurt. Their backup tight end, which is kind of a backup. Technically, they use a lot of double tight ends, so he's like a backup that gets a lot of playing time in Dallas Goedert. He's hurt. Miles Sanders has been a disappointment, period. And honestly, I don't agree with the way that the coaching staff has been using Jordan Howard. I think they should be using him more because that's the only player on the Eagles offense that has kind of looked good, yet he's not getting the ball a lot. So they have time to pick it up, but injuries has been an issue.
King flip-flop. Hey, Dago, go back to episode 1 where Paki said that Jordan Howard was the bum.
I'm not saying he's great. I'm saying he's the one that has played the best this season. That's what I'm saying. That's a fact. That's not an opinion.
Oh, okay. Excuses.
I'm not saying he's great, but he's playing better. They might as well give him the ball. If you're struggling, you give the ball to your best player, man.
All right. So since we last recorded, Antonio Brown got cut. He's totally out of the NFL. He's a teamless drifter. He's a wanderer. He's a vagrant. Who had the last laugh?
The Steelers. The Steelers got a third and a sixth round pick out of him, or a fifth round pick from the Raiders. So the Steelers got the last laugh.
Well, Daryl told me that they got the first laugh.
Yeah,
It was actually Mike Mayock who got the last laugh.
I don't think anybody else is laughing. So, well, I mean, Mike Mayock is probably relieved right now. I mean, at least Mike. The only thing that happened out of this is that Mike Mayock looked like he had some balls to do what he had to do. Some backbone, yeah. So that sends a message. But besides that, dude, I mean, the biggest loser at the end of the day is Antonio Brown. Nobody else in this group lost $40 million in 1 year.
So, Paki, what's your advice for Antonio Brown's owners? Is he going to play again this year?
Honestly, I drop him. But
Yeah.
that's my opinion.
It's probably going to hurt to dig into your pocket and drop an Antonio Brown who's not injured, but why the hell would you have him on
I mean, if I don't have anybody else to pick up, I wouldn't drop him. But if I have a player to pick up and, like, you know what I mean, and I have, like, I'm trying to debate who to drop, he'd be on my list.
Right.
If I have depth and I can hold on to him, amen. See what happens. Nobody's going to touch Antonio Brown with a 10-foot pole until this shit gets settled about the whole rape allegation.
No. And they're gonna push that even further. And it's not even the rape allegation anymore. I mean, yeah, that's the thing that's going to civil trial. But the last thing, the one he got let go for it's basically a threat.
Mm-hmm.
Just a crazy person threat too.
A crazy person threat. And then he tweeted hating on the Patriots owner.
Oh,
deleted that tweet. Yeah.
Oh, where's cousin Juan at? Cousin, he done. Oh man, Tony.
And now he's just trying to go through the players the Players Association to try to get that $10 million from the
Players Union.
The Players Union. I don't think he's getting shit.
Well, good luck to him. I hope that this works out the best for everyone involved, and everyone involved, even the alleged victims of the situation. But I'm not here to pass judgment on any of that.
Dude, watch. Reality's gonna hit him hard, man. He's gonna next year when he's broke as fuck, he's gonna own up to everything that he's done, and he's gonna try to play, and we'll see if he's the same player.
Paki, I'm 3-0 in the survivor pool. So as we go along and we talk about the matchups, maybe you give me some advice on who I should go with this week. I've already used up a couple of teams. I'll tell you as we go along. I no longer have Baltimore available, or Dallas, or Buffalo. So I'm going to have to pick another of the teams going this week. But we'll talk about that soon enough. And now the main event, what the guys tune in to hear us. Who are we going to pick, and therefore who are we damning this week? I'm starting to think that they have a point when we talk about the UC Jinx, given that out of 14 matchups, you've picked 5 correct matchups, and I picked 3.
Yeah, we should go rather quick to these matchups because we spent a ton of time talking about real football.
Hey, I mean, I don't know. I do.
I'll be quick,
but I don't know.
I'll be quick.
All right, whatever. So let's go real quick. The 1 and 2, 9th overall, no Wapagana, versus 13th overall, 1 and 2 as well, but a different 1 and 2. Life ain't breezy. Who you got this week, Paki, and why are they going to win?
All right, first let me talk about Life Ain't Breezy before I give you my winner. Mm-hmm. Life Ain't Breezy should be called the Giants Ain't Breezy or Life Ain't Giant because my man went all in on Daniel Jones, dropped Drew Brees, so that name has no purpose, and picked up Daniel Jones. So that's his only quarterback. He's riding the Daniel Jones train right off the bat. Of course, we're talking about Darryl.
Raining dimes.
Who also has Sterling Shepard, who also has Roses, who also has – I'm surprised he doesn't have Golden Tate. A bunch of Giants players. So, I mean, this is going to be a good week for the Giants, though. They're playing the Redskins. We already talked about how bad they are, so I'm not going to go over that again. You got Devontae Adams playing the Eagles. The Eagles' secondary is probably just as bad as the Giants right now. They can't cover for shit. See, the Giants' problem is they can't tackle. The Eagles' problem is they can't cover. So that's good either way. You got Todd Gurley going up against the Tampa Bay Bucs. That's a shitty offense as well. A shitty defense, I'm sorry. And then you got Malcolm Brown also going against Tampa Bay. So whatever Todd Gurley doesn't pick up, he's probably going to pick up. So I like that matchup. Honestly, like the better team is No Wapagana, and my gut would tell me to go to No Wapagana because he does have the better players. But besides Leonard Fournette, I feel like everybody under Life and Breeze is going up against is going to be in a shootout type game. So I'm gonna go with Life and Breezy on this one, man.
You are going with Life and Breezy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, no Wapagana. First of all, I want to address Baker Mayfield. He is not a startable fantasy quarterback. You have another option. You have Derek Carr on your bench. I would go with him at least for the purpose of fantasy. No. He's getting you points. I mean, either that or search the waiver wire and pick someone up. I think Matthew Stafford may be available. But honestly, at this point, Baker Mayfield should not be the dude you put out there every week. He's done nothing but disappoint you. And this week, he's going up against Baltimore. That is not going to end well. Yahoo's projecting 16 fantasy points. I don't believe it. I don't think he'll even get to 8. I mean, if he struggled against the Rams, it's only going to get worse against Baltimore. If you have any faith in what I'm telling you, find another option at quarterback. Julio Jones, you got him. You start him. He's playing at home against Tennessee. That's a no-brainer. Dalvin Cook has a tough matchup. He's going up against Chicago in Chicago, but you don't have a better option. And truth be told, Dalvin Cook is awesome. So I got nothing to tell you.
I think he's leading the NFL in rushing yards right now.
Quite possibly. But yeah, you got him. You start him. Same goes for Derrick Henry against Atlanta. Atlanta can't stop him. Mark Andrews, awesome matchup. Possibly the defining matchup of this week. I love Mark Andrews. I love how he's producing for you, and he's going up against Cleveland. Cleveland, for all the tough talk they had at the beginning of the year, they haven't lived up to the hype. Their defense isn't bringing it as they thought they would, and they're not outscoring other teams. So,
told you. I remember we had this fucking argument, episode 1, about Cleveland. Because Odell Beckham ain't doing shit. Baker Mayfield doing shit. Jarvis Landry. None of those guys are doing shit right now.
Well, what I'm hearing from the quote-unquote experts is that didn't they trade a key offensive lineman in order to get Odell Beckham?
Yes, they did.
Their offensive line is kind of patched together with duct tape, and it's not enough to give Baker Mayfield any time to do much of anything. And you also pointed out that he can run to his left, so it's
every single game I've seen of Baker Mayfield, every single team is just flushing out his right side. Oh, they got flushing him to the left.
It looks bad. Based on the talent alone, even though you have terrible matchups, I'm actually going to pick No Wapagana this week to win it.
Oh, I'm glad I'm going to get that W. I'm sorry, man. I think it's Life and Breezy on this one.
Hey, man, it's fine. All right. The 1 and 2, 8th place, fucking 4 p.m. Daft, going up against 4th place, 2 and 1 on 12th and bullshit. Paki, tell me something about on 12th and bullshit.
I'll tell you that I hate fucking talking about this team because it leaves everybody on the bench, and that's fucking annoying every time. So you kind of have to guess what they're going to put up. I guess he tries this. You know what? Before I even analyze the team, just because he's the main one that started this shit about the UC curse, and he believes in the curse, I'm going to pick him.
Boom.
Fuck you. I'm picking you, Gary. I hope you fucking lose.
Paki, this is where I put it on you to be an analyst and tell Gary who he should start.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, not that he's going to listen to, but if we're going to look at, obviously, the quarterback and tight end position are solid with the Kansas City Chiefs. At the wide receiver position, that's an easy one, bro. Robert Woods is your first guy that you want to start against Tampa Bay. I know Robert Woods hasn't done much, but Tampa Bay is such a delectable matchup. How Louis C.K. would do. It's just so good. So good. You remember that for Louis C.K.? You remember that? It's just such a good matchup against Tampa Bay. He's going to kill those guys. I mean, if starting Shepard was ever to ball out, imagine Robert Woods. So that's my first one. My second guy would be Sammy Watkins, just because of the fact that I cannot bench any wide receiver that plays for Kansas City Chiefs that's on the field 100% of the snaps. So Sammy Watkins is the only guy right now in Kansas City besides Travis Kelce that's on the field all the time with Pat Mahomes. So that's going to be my number 2 wide receiver. At running back, Not many options here, but Carlos Hyde hasn't looked great in fantasy, right? Because Houston hasn't really done much offensively with the running game. But he's looked as a player. I think he's done what he's supposed to do. He's done what they've asked him to do. So I think every week they're going to trust him a little bit more. So he should be getting the ball more. I like him. My other running back, damn, Philip Lindsay has taken the job over what's his name, the other guy, Freeman. Freeman, is it? Yeah.
Royce Freeman.
21 carries every single week. We've seen improvement on his carries, and although they're going up against Jacksonville, at this point, all you can hope for is just a goal line touchdown from him because the other guys you have at running back aren't that great. So, then finally, man, at the flex,
two starters he has. He doesn't have any other starting running back on his team. Everyone else that's there is a backup.
Exactly. So that's kind of what you have to start. And then at the flex, I mean, you can get fancy as you want. I really like Hollywood Brown. He didn't have a big week last week, but I think Hollywood Brown is just a play away from just blowing out. So I personally like to have him there all the time. He's just such an explosive player that you never know. So
he's a really fast dude, but he only looked that great against Dolphins.
Bro, he had an amazing catch last week. Like, the kid got skills. They just got to throw him the ball more. That's all it is. He had a really nice catch. He has skills, man. He has skills. You know who he reminds me of?
I think, though, that Lamar Jackson is a little risk averse, and he'll only throw to him if he's 100% open. Like, Lamar Jackson.
Not the catch he had last week, dude. He had a crazy good catch in coverage by the sideline. It wasn't a touchdown, but, God, it was a good catch.
All right. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Cool. All right. So, given your options at quarterback, Kyle Allen and Tom Brady, I'm going with Tom Brady in Buffalo in the warm weather. They're not going to know how to act. I'd rather that than have Kyle Allen learn the hard way that the Houston front is pretty decent even after losing Jadeveon Clowney. Cooper Kupp, absolutely. You got him. You start him. I am really high on this kid. It took me a while to get to him. Maybe I have a little bit of recency bias given that he wasn't around towards the end of last season. But I've seen a lot of games that included Cooper Kupp, and this guy is a drive saver.
He's a baller, man.
Absolutely. Drive saver is what I want to call him. If you're driving, you're in third down, who are you going to call? Cooper Kupp. That's who. Tyler Boyd, I don't like. Who do you have on your bench that you can start in his place? Not thrilled with your options. Ah, man, this is going to hurt you tremendously. No Saquon Barkley, possibly for 2 months.
Oof.
I mean, Saquon Barkley is made of like muscle fibers and robot wire, so maybe he's not out for the full 2 months, but it's going to hurt you this week because on 12 and bullshit can really put a point. So Marlon Mack is pretty much who you got to start. You have the other Williams running back, the Darrell Williams. It's one of the Williams you're going to go with in the other running back position. So just kind of keep an eye on who is going to actually make it to the field because I know that Damian Williams is dealing with a slight injury and LaShawn McCoy also dealing with a slight injury. So whichever one of the Williams boys from Kansas City makes it on the field, that's who you're going to start at the running back position. Darren Waller, Paki talked about him, getting a ton of play. That's basically the only option you have. So who do you want to start at your flex? Naheem Hines, totally not worth it. Golden State is still suspended. For lack of a better option, unless you decide to make a move right before game time, you might actually have to go with Austin Hooper. That's just the reality of what your team has. That being said, I have to decide right now, is Tom Brady, Cooper Kupp, and Marlon Mack going to be enough to defeat whatever comes up on the other side, which includes, by the way, Pat Mahomes? I don't think it's possible. Sorry, fucking 4 p.m. I'm going with on 12 and bullshit.
I'm glad you picked on 12 and bullshit. Awesome.
Yep. Kiss of death. All right, next matchup. The 1 and 2, 11th place, Game Pounds at Gordos versus 7th place, 2 and 1. How do you say this, Paki? Lamar
Margulis. Fucking love this name. Donnie, man, kudos to you. I love this name, man. I'm a Game of Thrones geek, so I fucking love it.
That sounds like
Fucking
La Mama Culo or some shit.
yeah, all men must die. Yeah, that's any ignorant person that doesn't watch Game of Thrones would say that. Thank you.
I watched Game of Thrones.
Then how do you not know
I was
Valar
totally in
Morghulis?
on Game of Thrones until they stopped showing titties every episode. Then I was like, hey, what the hell's going on? What are the titties?
Valar Morghulis.
Titties Margulis is what I want to see.
Yeah, so this is this is the first team actually, Lamar Margulis, that we're seeing with a bye in one of his starters, which is Matt Breida. So they're gonna have to fill something in there. They don't have much to go with, but out of what he has, I would go with Jordan Howard. I think the Eagles have to realize that they got to feed this guy the ball. Miles Sanders is just not ready for an every down role. Give it to Jordan Howard. I mean, he's not going to be a breakaway guy, but clearly he's doing at least moving the chains, which is what Jay Ajayi did for them during that Super Bowl season. So just give the guy the ball.
I want to say, fuck you, La Mamarculos. Why the hell did you pick up Will Disley to not start him, you son of a bitch?
I mean, that is funny. I mean, you got O.J. Howard in there who's supposed to be the higher rank, but he hasn't done anything. I have no idea. See, this is my thing with the experts. Did you know that Jameis Winston was ranked like the number 3 or 4 fantasy quarterback by most experts?
Yes.
That's fucking ridiculous. Why would you think that? He fucking sucks.
Because they're all offense, because they're going to be playing from behind a lot, and because he takes risks.
I mean, that idiot, it only took him 3 weeks to realize that Mike Evans is on his team. Only took him 3 weeks.
That was also one of the talking points the experts were considering, because the experts knew that Mike Evans was on his team. Too bad it took Jameis so long to figure it out.
I mean, did they not exchange numbers? Like, how does that work? Like, how do you think you don't have Mike Evans on your team?
I don't know.
Ridiculous. Anyway, man, I like Lamar Margulis. Lamar Jackson versus Cleveland. Cleveland's been abysmal. Juju Smith-Schuster should have a good game versus Cincinnati. He had a good game last week. Not a lot of receptions, so hopefully Mason Rudolph makes some improvements. I am concerned with David Montgomery, and I am concerned with O.J. Howard as we spoke. So hopefully he'll start Will Disley, start Jordan Howard, see how it goes. I mean, this is a really tough matchup to pick from because I think both of these teams are going to be struggling to put up points. So they're probably going to be close.
What the fuck are you talking about? Why would they struggle to put up points?
The fantasy teams.
These are all favorable matchups. What are you talking about? Lamar Jackson is going to romp and stomp all over Cleveland. It's against Cincinnati. Cincinnati. Listen to the word Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Who have they been able to stop? Everyone gets points.
It's a toss-up when we're talking about Mason Rudolph. We're not sure. So I don't know.
Every corner on the Rams is about as tall as Mike Evans' belly button. They can't stop him from getting catches.
I disagree. Mike Evans is going to get a key to leave, who's a badass fucking corner. The Rams, according to Yahoo, the Rams have given up the third fewest fantasy points to wide receivers this season. And I wouldn't discard the fact. I wouldn't discard the fact that Aaron Donald is going to be all up on David Winston's grill.
I don't remember who the Rams had week 1, but I saw the game where they played New Orleans. Yes, they didn't allow any points to wide receivers, but you had cold Teddy Bridgewater walk in and try to throw to those receivers. He didn't do a great job of that.
Yeah, and Michael Thomas.
Then the next Thomas was Baker Mayfield against the Rams, and he was running for his life. So yeah, he didn't make much happens against wide receivers. I wouldn't go by that. I mean, I'm still betting on Mike Evans in that matchup.
All right. Well, Michael Thomas has the one that has done the most is Michael Thomas, and he did 13.9 fantasy points. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just not buying it 100%. I can't buy in. But I'll take Lamar Margulis just because I like his quarterback situation better to win this game.
All right. Well, Andy Dalton is airing it out, and you really didn't have, or you're not carrying another running back this week. So by all means, go with Andy Dalton this week. John Brown in Buffalo against New Orleans. New England's defense is probably the best that it's been in years. So I don't like that matchup. You need to make points happen at your wide receiver. So I would consider some of the other options. Is this Chris Conley, the Jacksonville wide receiver? I'm not familiar with a lot of Jacksonville wide receiver names.
He's garbage.
Send his monkey ass to the bench. Bring up Stephon Diggs. I don't know why the hell you're even considering this. Um, God. And Paki, can you elaborate for me? Everyone else on the team is fine. Austin Eckler against Miami, he should have 1,000 points. Nick Chubb against Baltimore, he'll struggle to get in the end zone, but he'll get most of the yards. And Evan Ingram against Washington, expect another big game. James White, if he's back from becoming a new father, then
He's
amen.
back.
Great, but it's three, sometimes even a four-headed monster in New England. So I wouldn't depend on him for a total of a great amount of points. Start Stephon Diggs, you got him. Consider Latavius Murray, and Jay Ajayi was picked up. Last I knew, Jay Ajayi didn't even have a team. Why would you pick up Jay Ajayi? Did you hear anything, Packy?
I mean, the only thing I heard is that he's healthy and he's going to get some workouts for teams, and the Giants are considering working him out. I don't know what the fuck Adelie knows that we don't, but I can assure you, bro, nobody was going to pick him up for you. Like, nobody was going to take him away from you. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't think he's
Listen,
going to
if the
have
Giants do end up picking him up and this Saquon injury goes longer than we expect, this is going to be a brilliant pick by Adeli. Not only did he get him before anyone else did, he didn't have to use a waiver for him.
Yeah,
So
but I disagree, and I'm glad you brought that topic up since we've already talked about both Saquon and now we're talking about the Giants running game. Anybody who thinks that anybody that goes in for Saquon Barkley is going to pick up that production or anything near that is fucking insane. The Giants have not been able to run the ball with any of their running backs before Saquon Barkley. Their O-line has gotten better in pass protection. That O-line is still not good at run blocking. Everything that Saquon Barkley got, he got it on his own 2 feet, not depending on that fucking run blocking, which isn't great. So I don't think there's going to be any running back that's just going to jump into the Giants situation and just like blow it up in fantasy. I don't see it.
last week I scored the fourth highest points total of any team for that week, and I got beat out by number three, Lamar Margulis. This team can put up points. I like a lot of the matchups that they have, so I'm picking Lamar Margulis.
Nice, dude. We got to
Margulis.
run through these, man. We're only in our fourth matchup and we're running out of time, so we got to go quicker through these, bro.
All right, so you were talking about the Giants' backfield, and lo and behold, Guica Translate picked up Wayne Gallman with the first overall waiver pick, who is going to step into the Saquon Barkley role, but you're saying he's not going to get the production. Talk to me more about Guica Translate.
At least
The
maybe
two and
in
one
this,
second overall.
at least maybe in this game, he might get at least a touchdown, right? But Will Gallman has never done good as a running back for the New York Giants, at least. So if he doesn't get a touchdown, I wouldn't be surprised that he stays between the 5 to 7 point range.
It's Wayne Gallman.
Wayne Gallman, what did I say?
Will. It's fine. Go ahead.
Wayne Gallman, yeah. So I don't expect much from him. But yeah, if you want me to talk about Guica's team, dude, I think Deshaun Watson versus Carolina should be a great matchup. And then he has DeAndre Hopkins right with him. So there's back-to-back great points. Amari Cooper, although the New Orleans Saints have an awesome defense in the dome, I wouldn't be surprised if this goes into – if the Dallas Cowboys see themselves in 2-minute drills, either at the end of the half or at the end of the game, giving Amari Cooper some time to actually do stuff. So I'm concerned about his running backs. Don't like it there. I like his wide receiver and quarterback situation.
That's going to be the story going forward for Guica Translate. It's how weak the running game is. Is this a bounce back week for DeAndre Hopkins?
100%, yes.
I was
100%.
I was super high on this dude, man, and he looked great the first week. He was proving me right, but ever since he hasn't gotten over 70 yards, no touchdowns. It's
Well,
not. I'm not impressed by what I'm seeing in Houston.
he's
All
gone.
right.
He's gone against two of the top five secondaries, in my opinion, in Jacksonville and the Chargers. So Carolina should be an
Julio,
easy test.
point taken. The 2-1, sixth overall Cuz El Abusador is going to trot out Aaron Rodgers on a short week against Philly. This is the game where Aaron Rodgers has to do it, or I'm off the Aaron Rodgers train for good. I'm already down on him, but I'm totally going to just step off this train and just walk away. Um, if Aaron Rodgers can't do it against the poor Philadelphia secondary, who can't pressure quarterbacks anymore. Tyler Lockett against Arizona, love it. anything against Arizona, really. Gotta love it. And I starred Russell Wilson, so I'm looking for him to get in the end zone and just do great, great things. You had some thoughts about Nelson Aguilar. What were they?
Well, I mean, all of Philadelphia has some thoughts about Nelson Aguilar. I mean, you kind of caught me off guard on that one. You know what I mean? Not like Nelson Aguilar. I can't catch shit.
Ah, man.
Oh, fuck. That's fucking hilarious, dude. I don't know if you saw that guy. If we haven't done, try to put in that clip of that Philadelphia fan saving
Who's
babies.
catching babies? Who's catching all these babies? Not like Nelson Aguilar. I mean, I'm not
Got to
gonna.
put that out there.
I'm not gonna take credit for being the first one to say it, but I said it clearly. Nelson Aguilar can't catch balls over his shoulder. Kerryon Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott, shit. I'm looking at 40 points potentially in the running game. When all this is said and done, the running backs and Aaron Rodgers are going to carry you over the strength of the receivers of we could translate. I like how nothing on the bench for either team is worth mentioning. Whatever you have starting out there is pretty much what you should go with. And one more thing, we could translate is hurt by not having George Kittle. Okay, I'm not gonna go back anymore. Let me just make my pick. I'm gonna go with Cuz El Abusador. I do like how Yahoo has him 50-50 in this game. This is about as close as they're gonna cut it.
Yeah, man, I'm taking Cuz as well. I like his running back situation better. So we agree on that one.
All right. The 2-1 first overall team. Shit, I don't think I've ever said that. Mac Cafe Espresso going up against the 5th overall 2-1 El Papa de Daphne, but clearly a very different 2-1. All right, tell me about Mac Cafe Espresso.
I feel like I'm repeating myself every week. I mean, this guy's top scorer week 1, lowest scorer week 2, top scorer week 3 for the same fucking reason. The Chargers players. And Christian McCaffrey, obviously. But I feel Christian McCaffrey had one down week, and I don't think he's going to have another one all season. Keenan Allen blew up. Phillip Rivers had a good game. Now he didn't have to blow up. You know what I mean? And then you have Mike Williams, who I think is going to get even more targets. And now they're playing Miami. You got 3 Chargers players versus Miami.
That's right.
There's no way I'm not going to pick McCaffrey Espresso on this matchup. It's impossible. And then you have Mark Ingram, who has been fucking amazing when it comes to touchdowns. I knew he was going to get touchdowns, but not at this rate, bro. Jesus Christ.
I cringe every time I see it. Shit, don't remind me.
I mean, I said it when we were talking about the draft recap. I said this guy's going to be a good goal line back. He's going to get some carries. But I didn't think he was going to be scoring at this level, man. 5 touchdowns already. We haven't even started in only 3 weeks. That's insane.
All right, well, before we even go any further, I'm going to go ahead and pick McAfee Espresso.
Yeah, there's no way I could go 3 Chargers versus the Dolphins. I mean, I don't even think there's much to talk about besides that.
His best players have the juiciest matchups. It's not the best week to go up against this team. El Papa de Daphne, Matt Ryan has been consistent, and expect more of the same. If he gives you 19, 20 fantasy points, I'm not going to be surprised. Allen Robinson against Minnesota. Minnesota's a pretty tough defense. Xavier Rhodes out there protecting the coverage or all of the passing yards. And honestly, Mr. Trubisky sucks. I know that there was a time in which you gave Allen Robinson a favorable grade, but Mr. Trubisky's garbage. He can't get the ball to him. If anything, the wide receiver you want to have is Gabriel. He's proven to be the more explosive wide receiver on that team. Curtis Samuel, I'm down on. All of your points, sincerely, are going to come from Matt Ryan and Alvin Kamara. Zach Ertz is going to do pretty much what he always does. He hasn't been, and it's not even because of his own fault, just Philadelphia's offense hasn't been what we projected. Point is, your weapons are not going to be enough to really challenge McAfee Espresso. So that's that. Moving on to the next matchup. It's going to be the 1-2, 14th overall. That's last place. The Rough Raiders going up against the very different 1-2, 10th place Gotham City Rogues, who kind of stumbled out of the gate.
Yeah, I think this is really tough for me because if I'm being honest, my team is just not good. And I feel like Chris Carson was supposed to be the lead back. He was supposed to do great. He's a fumble machine. Odell Beckham has not been great. So I look at Gotham City Rogues, and I'm thinking, the players on my team, they're talented. They just haven't been doing shit. I mean, they have talent, except for Case Keenum. That's garbage. So I do have talented players that don't mean nothing in fantasy. But you look at Gotham City Rogues, this team is a great team. If there's a week that I can actually win, I'm going to be optimistic and say I can maybe win this week. Only because there's 3 players on Thursday Night Football that Gotham City Rogues got playing. And Gotham City Thursday Night Football games normally are really bad. They don't give up points. It's Carson Wentz, Aaron Jones, and Jake Elliott. So that would be the only thing I can say in my favor to actually pick myself. But in this situation, I'm going to go against myself anyways. I'm going to pick Gotham City Rogues. I mean, like I said, besides those 3 guys, you got Brandon Cooks versus Tampa Bay and Kenny Galladay versus Kansas City. Between those 2 wide receivers, they should easily put up 30 to 40 points together. And then you got Eric Ebron versus Oakland. Oakland has been really, really bad.
All right, Paki, don't talk about every single player. Just highlight a few and let's move on. All right. So you went with Gotham City Rogues. The Rough Raiders are not going to win this week. Why? Because they're starting fucking Case Keenum, and he's awful. There is a chance.
He's starting against the Giants, though, so I think he can put up.
This is true. This is true. But if he has even the slightest struggle, I believe that they'll throw in Dwayne Haskins because what the fuck? Why not?
It could happen.
Yeah, and if you're starting Case Keenum and he gets replaced at halftime, you're only going to get half of the potential points that any quarterback could give you.
In my defense, I will wait till Sunday, based on what I hear, to see if I keep him there or not.
All right, well, keep your eyes open on that. Odell Beckham against Baltimore, not a favorable matchup. DJ Moore against Houston. I don't like that matchup either. Chris Carson has a little case of the fumbles, but he's playing against Arizona. A major case of the fumbles. He's playing against Arizona, not a scary defense, but they always play Seattle really, really tough. I'm going to take my own advice, and I'm not going to talk about every player on this team, but Case Keenum and Sony Michel suck. So, Gotham City Rogues to win this one.
Have you seen the movie The Program?
Oh, shit, ages ago.
Yeah, it's like from the 90s. Chris Carson should take a page from that movie. But remember they made the main character carry around a football, and everybody was trying to make him fumble all week and shit.
That's great insight. I'm glad you contributed that to this.
Well,
segment.
I'm sure anybody that's seen the program actually will probably understand, but you clearly don't.
Oh, it's not that I don't understand.
It's a key.
I didn't think it was very interesting.
Scene. All right, moving on.
So, the 1 and 2, 12 plays. What it do, baby? Versus the 3rd place, 2-1. Run Rooks Run. We have this habit of not talking about our own teams. So let's see. Dak Prescott on the road against New Orleans. This is going to be a tough test. Would have been tougher if he was playing against Drew Brees. Maybe they go up big and then they decide to run a lot, but I can't tell. That's who you're going to start, despite on who's showing there on your starting lineup. Michael Thomas, you got him, you start him. You're still waiting for him to break out a huge game. He's had good games. He's always giving you double digits. That's good. That's not something I can say about my receivers. Josh Gordon against Buffalo, at Buffalo. I like him. You have him, you start him. Same goes for Julian Edelman. The rest of these guys that I'm looking at right now on your starting lineup, I don't believe that these are the guys that are actually going to make it out there, except for maybe Greg Olsen. He looks like, well, you have Delaney Walker. Play the odds. Doesn't really matter there. I'm feeling a little more confident because you don't have Le'Veon Bell, and that's about it.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Run Rooks Run on this one. I just think that with that wide receiver core that he has, even though he's missing Le'Veon Bell, his running backs don't look as solid. They should be better than your team's strength is supposed to be that AFC North running back core of James Conner and Joe Mixon, and they've both been pretty bad all year. They've left a lot on the table that we expected more from both. And then you got 2 players in Minnesota going up against the Chicago defense. It's a tough week. I think your best player might be T.Y. Hilton against the Raiders. The Raiders always give up big plays, so T.Y. Hilton should probably get some stuff. I don't think it's going to be enough to go over Paki. But at the end of the day, win or lose, you're going to win because they're both your team, so you're fine.
Oh man, there's a chance there that I decide to move Frank Gore and start Alshon Jeffrey. He's supposedly fully healthy.
Are you
Then
talking about
again,
Run Rooks Run or What It Do Baby? Which
which one of my two teams?
okay, yeah, which one are the teams are you talking about? Just trying
Right.
to put it.
You know what? I'm gonna go with What It Do, baby. For better or worse, I'm gonna go down with my sinking ship.
Yeah, how are you, dude? I would consider putting in there Geronimo Allison in the starting lineup. I don't know, just a thought,
No,
food for thought.
no. I mean, the fact that he hasn't been producing any fantasy points is in itself a concern, but they're not looking for him downfield. So if he does get anything, last week he got a catch that produced negative yards. He gave me, I don't remember the final stat, but well, actually, yeah, this is the final stat, 0.4 fantasy points. How do you get 0.4 fantasy points? You catch a ball behind the line of scrimmage and get tackled.
All right, man. I really gotta pee. Let's wrap it up.
I'm so glad you shared that with us.
I
So
really gotta go pee.
we talked about our weekends and our weekend plans at the beginning of the show, so we're not going to bore you with that. Just stay tuned for the unofficial commentators dropping every Thursday, and follow us on the Twitter, UC at underscore, what is it? At UC underscore podcast, at unofficial commentators on Instagram and on Facebook. Thank you very much for joining us. Paki, peace.
Peace.